Hey guys, welcome to Last Movie Standing. Did y'all know 88 Films just launched a new French cinema line? Neither did I. Neither did I. So they sent me this movie, I Am A Nymphomaniac. I know, crazy title, right? I thought the same thing, and when they asked me if I wanted to review it, I read the synopsis and I was like, are you kidding me? Absolutely. Let me read you the synopsis. Hold on. Hold on. This movie is literally about a woman who falls down the stairs, hits her head, essentially, and then becomes a nymphomaniac. Yeah. We're going to talk about that movie today. So, I can't make this up, you guys. This is literally a movie about a woman who basically falls down an elevator shaft in her apartment complex and then becomes a nymphomaniac after. And hearing that, you may think, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. But I'm going to talk about how this film is nothing like what I expected it to be. Absolutely nothing like what I expected it to be. First off, I do have to cover this up because it is, as you can see, what it is. Hopefully this isn't see-through on here with the light shining right here. If it is, I'll blur it out. I can't even show you I can show you the back. So what I do love about what 88 Films does with their collections is they'll put their flag down here at the bottom. There's a naked woman right here, so I gotta cover this up. So here that you got the French flag. On the Italian collections, they got the Italian flag right here, which I think is really cool. Shows international love. One of the things I really want to do in 2025 is get more into international movies. I kind of want to expand my palette, and that's one of the things I'm really excited about with reviewing a lot more 88 films this year, because there's a lot of foreign movies I've never even heard of. And one of my favorite new forms of cinema, I talked about it a little before, but French cinema, like I have a movie called Year of the Jellyfish, which I got last year. No, I got it in 2023. And the movie kind of blew me away. Like French movies in the 70s and 80s, one, yes, they have a lot more nudity in it, but the storytelling's a lot different than like American movies. So I gave this one a chance. I thought the name was kind of ridiculous, which the name alone is kind of crazy. If you type it in, like I Am a Nymphomaniac 1971, this movie came out in 1971, by the way, it'll give you a bunch of different options. So like this movie has so many different names. Like it's called, one name is like Libido, the Urge of Love or something. And it's also got a title called The Sensuous or the Sensual Teenager, which honestly doesn't make that much sense because she's not a teenager in this movie. I'm holding this, so hold on, before I do that, I'm gonna keep holding this up. This does have reversible artwork, but I'm holding. Ooh, I can't even show the disc, you guys, because the disc has nudity on it. It does have this, which is a little bit more covered. I think it's the original poster, and it's actually really cool. It's got these like dancing things around it, and actually now that I see, let's switch it. Okay, I was keeping the pink one because we'll just keep the pink one. I'm keeping the pink one because this is the one on the website. So this is the new artwork, which I really like this artwork. Besides the nudity part of it, it's actually really beautiful. It's like watercolor kind of, and it's done by an artist named, I think I'm pronouncing this right, please forgive me if I'm not. I think it's Tinden. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but really beautiful artwork. So I want to keep this to kind of highlight that, but let's put that down because I don't want to get in trouble for that. But I totally got where I was on before I went on that raid. Anyway, so, it was called The Sensuous or the Sensual Teenager, which doesn't make that much sense because she even says in the movie she's an adult. And in the English dub version, she says she's 21. So, like, specifically, she's 21.
After all, I was over 21.
Like, she's got a normal job and everything. She's not a teenager. Like, they even talk about when she's talking to a friend how she's developed late in life. So maybe they called it that because the actress in it, what's her name, Sandra Julian, looks kind of young. Looks like she could be a teenager, but she's not. She's an adult. So basically, what this movie is about, it's about a girl she lives at home with their parents. She lives a very sheltered kind of life. Her parents are very, I don't want to use the word religious, but, even like her boyfriend, she gets weird holding his hand because, it's very like, her parents taught her to be very afraid, not afraid of love, but very sheltered. Very sheltered. And she's very standoffish. I don't want to call her prudish, but kind of prudish in a way. And then she's outside of her apartment and she sees this guy walking down the stairs. And it's like this angel. She's like seeing a cute guy for the first time. And she's just in awe of this guy. So much so that she falls down an elevator. She's not paying attention. Like she's waiting for the elevator to come up in this apartment complex. And it's the 70s. So you got to like open the gate to get in. Well, she didn't check. She's just like, watching him get to, and then she looks and it's like, oh, and she falls. Essentially, she doesn't die, but something happens to her. It's basically and I looked this up. What's crazy is this is an actual real thing. Like, nymphomaniac can be caused by a severe traumatic experience. But what surprised me the most about this movie was, given its subject matter, it's from the 70s, from 1971. It is basically an erotic. I think they label it as an erotic comedy. I wouldn't really call this a comedy. The premise is comedic. A girl falls down the stairs, hits her head, becomes a sex addict. But honestly, what this movie felt like, it felt like a vampire movie. It felt like a horror movie, coming of age, vampire-esque movie, just done in a more erotic French kind of way. They even reference vampires in this, which is kind of weird. And the visual style is actually really cool. So have you ever seen the movie The Love Witch? The Love Witch from 2016. Really, really good film. And what I love the most about this movie is, I think this movie takes place in the 60s. It's called The Love Witch, but after watching this, I'm convinced she's a nymphomaniac too. But it's got that so it's 1971, so it still has that kind of feel of the late 1960s. And everything in the hairdo and the style and the music. But the more I watched it, the more I started realizing, wait, these are like vampire tributes. Like, imagine instead of her falling down the stairs and becoming a nymphomaniac and becoming a sex addict, imagine the same movie with a girl getting bitten by a vampire and then having to deal with that. This movie is way more of a coming of age movie than just an erotic comedy drama kind of thing. Which, that's a part that I'm saying really surprised me about it, because there are scenes that just like this, like I feel bad for the girl. Like, she's literally getting taken advantage of. So she becomes a nymphomaniac, and it's basically about a young woman who's discovering her body. Essentially, she's discovering sensations she's never felt before. And she gets taken advantage of, not just by men. The first person who takes advantage of her is a woman. Actually, her boss takes advantage of her. And then she gets kicked out of the house, and her dad wants nothing to do with her. So she goes to live with this woman and work in her shop, and the woman really takes advantage of her. There's actually a scene in this with the two girls. Have y'all ever seen Blue is the Warmest Color? Another French movie? They have a scene in this like that. Like, there's like a lesbian. There's only one lesbian scene really, with the main girl Sandra Julian and this older woman who kind of takes her under her wing, who takes advantage of her, and there's a full on like scissor scene in this movie, which threw me off guard seeing it. But I've seen worse. Like, if you've seen The Color, Blue is the Warmest Color. That movie is like 100 times worse than this when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the reason I keep going back to vampire is like when she gets these urges, these uncontrollable urges, like sexual urges, she freezes up. She like people just use her. She doesn't do anything. She's almost like a statue. You know, it's like this thing taking over her body. Like, the reason I go to vampire and more, even Exorcist, like, I think they kind of have this not exorcism scene, but kind of like they take her to a doctor and they're doing all these tests on her. Like this scene right here, they're doing tests. Like, the film's beautifully shot. And it just says it's a new HD transfer with color grading redone by 88 Films. Like, this looks like it could have been a 4K scan. It doesn't say it's a 4K scan. I don't think it is, because usually companies will promote that. So I don't think it's that, but it looks really, really good on Blu-ray. And 88 is one of the only boutiques I know that I can think of still putting out DVDs with it. So, ooh, I cannot show you this disc. I will cover it up. But it comes with a Blu-ray and a DVD. I haven't watched the DVD yet. I'm sure it's the same transfer of this, but a lot of people are still into DVDs. So I think that's fascinating that they're still playing to that market, because that is still a market that only studios are still tapping into. And I think that's it. I don't know of any boutiques still doing that. 88 is doing it with their Blu-rays. Their 4Ks come with Blu-rays. Their Blu-rays sometimes come with DVDs. Arrow doesn't do DVDs. Vinegar Syndrome, to my knowledge, doesn't do DVDs. Criterion, do they put out DVDs anymore? I don't think they do. But there's still a lot of people who collect DVDs. This Blu-ray is Region B. So if you get it from 88 Films, you do need a Region B player. Because I think this is the first time it's released in the UK. Because 88's a UK-based company. So most of their Blu-rays are Region B locked. Like, all the ones I have, minus 11 Days, 11 Nights. This one is region free. Which I don't know how they separate them. I don't know if it's it might be a licensing thing. I think that's why some things are region blocked and some things aren't. But I don't know. But this movie surprised me with how much I liked it, and I really more intrigued by it, because once I started kind of putting together, wait, this is a vampire movie. Kinda. Same traits of the vampire movie. There's even a scene where she's like driving down the side of the road and she picks up a hitchhiker, a girl, and the girl falls asleep in the car, and so this main girl pulls over and starts like kissing on her, but the way it's shot, it looks like she's biting her neck. Very vampire-esque. Very vampire-esque. But that could just be me just thinking, seeing so many movies, I'm just kind of putting two and two together with things. I think the only thing that really may be a turnoff for people is just the title of the movie. I think you just hear the title, I Am a Nymphomaniac, and you just think, I'm not going to watch that. That sounds like some schlock or something. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't even put it in my title because I didn't want YouTube to get me in trouble for saying it. But the one thing I did notice, getting back to how I titled the video, because they didn't tell me this. I didn't know this until I looked at it. But so I got the movie in, and I noticed something. There's a number right here. It's 01. And I was like, why is this numbered? And then I saw right here, really tiny, it says the French collection. Now, the Italian collection is a little bit more, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you notice it more. The number's bigger. It says the Italian collection, it's in the same spot, and it says the year. These don't say the year, so they're doing something different with this. But I just found that interesting that nobody's really talking about the French movies that they come out with, because I know their Italian collection is really huge. I only have 11 Days, 11 Nights from their Italian collection. I like this movie. Like, I really like this movie. I think I just discovered it like months ago, either this year or, I discovered it in 2024. I discovered all 88 films in 2024, to be completely honest, or most of them. But as I was saying, I really want to get more into French cinema, and I did a movie about international. I forgot the name of the video I did last year, where it was like international movies in my collection, and there was a lot of great suggestions in there, and a few of them I've bought recently that I'm gonna make another video about. But I really want to get into French movies a little bit more, because the three. I have three. I have another one. I'm gonna spread these out because I don't know how much people are into foreign content on this channel, but I'm really getting into it. And so I have Year of the Jellyfish, amazing movie, amazing. That one's from the 80s. I Am a Nymphomaniac, which really surprised me how good. Like, I've become a fan of Sandra Julian so much. I'm looking into her other movies, which I say this is like a vampire movie. She made another movie. I don't know if it was before or after this. It was around the same year, called Slayer the Vampire, something like that. I think Indicator put out a 4K of it. So I'm looking at getting that because that looks interesting. But what I love about these movies too is you can find these on some of these. Not all, but some you can find on Tubi, some you cannot. I don't think you can find this online anywhere in the United States. Like, you can't stream it, you can't watch it before you buy. This was a total blind decision for me. And honestly, I'm kind of stoked I made it, because some of the cinematography, I keep going back to that. There's a scene where she has to be tested at the end. Like, she's trying to get better. She knows something's wrong with her. She's gone to priests. She's gone to doctors. And she falls in love with this doctor, who, that's a whole other story. I don't think the doctor is I don't like the ending, really. Like, the love interest that she falls for. The guy she sees coming down the stairs at the beginning, which essentially causes her to fall and become a nymphomaniac, also has to be the guy that helps her get out of it. I think he's just the actor's just very, like, monotone and statue. Even at the very end, when he makes her go to basically an orgy to, like, test herself. And she passed the test, she runs out of this party, and he's sitting there waiting for her in the car, and the ending is them off on this, like, beautiful French Riviera thing, and she's sitting there smiling and laughing and happy, and he's just monotone. I almost feel like he's more of an abuser in the movie than she is. But that's not here or there. There is one weird dream sequence in it involving a carnival. It was honestly one of the coolest little carousels I've ever seen. Because here in the United States, all the carousels are just like horses and different things. This one has like horses and carriages and all kind of things. And it's kind of a dark scene in a way. But it's shot very out of order to where you almost have to think, wait, did they just cut out a whole scene of this? Because this feels very random. And then after the scene's done, it cuts back, and then it goes through this back and forth. So you realize it's a dream sequence, because she's so, like, it's taken over her life so much that she wants to end her life. Like, she takes a razor blade to the wrist. She doesn't kill herself or anything. But it really becomes way more of a coming-of-age movie about like female sexuality, about just like your body, like discovering your body, discovering who you are, and all this kind of stuff, which that part I found way more interesting. And like I said, I feel like the title of it is way more of a turn off to some people. They just may see the title and it's like, I'm an nymphomaniac. But I feel like a lot of times you gotta look past the title for movies. I'll give you an example. I have two comedies here that are really way more tame than what the name gives them credit for. So I have A Good Old Fashioned Orgy. This is a German Blu-ray, so the name looks weird. But Jason Sudeikis and a whole bunch of people, like, this is a funny comedy, but people just see A Good Old Fashioned Orgy and probably like, no. And then I have a movie called How to Plan an Orgy in a Small Town, which looks and probably feels like a really dirty movie, but it's actually a comedy, and it's a Canadian comedy. Canadians, probably because of the French, that actually connects kind of well. It's actually really funny. It's really funny, and because it's basically about a people who plan an orgy in this small uptight town, and they have no idea what they're doing. And it's even got, who's it, Catherine Elizabeth? Or, yeah, Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snap and everything. Funny movie, but we're not here to talk about that. My point is giving movies a chance to, despite how dirty the title may sound, because, yes, it's from the 70s, it's French. It's not really that bad. I've seen worse in modern movies. But even the sex scenes, it's not really sex scenes. There's just a lot of nudity in it. I'd say the most graphic sex scene in the whole movie is the girl-on-girl action in one scene. But that scene is done way, way, way worse and way, way more in movies like Blue is the Warmest Color, also a French film. And what was that other? Was it Handmaiden? Korean film. They had a lesbian scene which was way, way worse than this. And these are modern films. But yeah, with this, because it's a new collection, I really want to start collecting these, kind of experimenting with them, especially since it's #1, and I've never really started a collection from the first one. Like this one, I started my Italian. Well, I'm not starting this collection. I don't think I am, maybe, but this is 54. You know how many I'd have to collect to get all of these? A lot. And a lot of these are probably out of print. Because I know 88 does the slasher one too. Because I remember that, because they did Sleepaway Camp 2. Because I remember when Sleepaway Camp 1 went out of print here in the States. Or Sleepaway Camp 2 went out of print here in the States. It just skyrocketed like $200. But there's an 88 version for like, $20-$30. But it doesn't have the same special features, and that's what, doesn't have the slip cover, so it's a whole thing. But I guess what I'm trying to say is import. Like, expand your palette, import, try new movies, because that's what I want to do this year. Because honestly, I'm bored as shit with some modern movies. Like I would watch this over Red One any day, or any of the new made for streaming movies. I just think they're made better. I don't know, but back to this. Transfer is absolutely amazing. It looks really good just for being an HD transfer. The one thing that was a little weird, and I only noticed this doing my research for this video, so it's done in the aspect ratio of 1:6:6, so it's kind of a square. It fills up most of the screen. The original aspect ratio for this, because this was shot on 35mm film, the original aspect ratio was 1:8:5. So there should be black bars at the top, and it should be wider. But instead it's 1:6:6, which means it fills top and bottom. It's just got a very small, like, black edges on the side, which doesn't take away. It still fills the screen. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I just think it's weird why it's like that. But I looked up other versions, and there's another, I think a US version that came out earlier this year or last year, and it's the same. It's still 166. So I don't know if that's like a transfer thing or anything, but it doesn't take away from anything. I just thought that was kind of a weird little thing once, because when I saw 166 on here and I'm watching, I'm like, wow, this looks really good. Was this shot on 16 millimeter? Because it's 166. No, it's 35 millimeter film. But I don't know. I'm not really the expert in that. The audio, I will say, a lot of people. I think there's two things when it comes to how people watch foreign films. There are people who like it dubbed, and there are people who just watch it regular with subtitles. I'm both. I don't mind dubbed. Sometimes dubbing is just effing awful. This one, I would say watch it regular without the dubbed, just because the audio is different. Even the opening music at the beginning when there's no dialogue is different in the dubbed version than the US version. Even because I watched them both, and I was going back and forth at one point, kind of seeing how the audio sounds. Yeah, the traditional regular French audio, much cleaner, because both of them I'm not an audio person, so I can just read you what it is. Both of them are mono 2.0. These don't have like audio upgrades. I know that's like a thing for people. To me, it does not matter. I don't have a audio setup and everything, so it sounds fine. But I will say I did listen to it with both of them. French audio, 100 times better. 100 times better. But yeah, so that's my review for I Am a Nymphomaniac. This is the French collection from 88 Films volume. This is the first one. So I'm excited to see like what else is coming, because I'm hoping more 80s films. Because when it comes to 70s movies, I've said for the longest time I don't like 70s movies. But 2024 was kind of an eye-opener for 70s movies, or just 70s in general. I started getting into more 70s TV shows, which shocked me. 70s movies, I started discovering a few that I really liked, because I think my impression of 70s movies was more American, like dark, gritty, edgy, you know, the Scorsese's and the Ford Coppola movies and everything in the 70s. I think foreign has better 70s movies to me so far. I could be wrong. I don't know that many 70s movies. Like my favorite 70s movies is Star Wars 1977 and Alien from 1979. But so what do I know? But what I do know is this is actually surprisingly good, and if you like The Love Witch and you're into vampire kind of movies, now this, I keep saying that this is not a vampire movie, but it feels like it could have been. It's got the same tropes as it. So if that interests you at all, check out I Am a Nymphomaniac, because it surprised me how good it is. And I'm honestly stoked to see what else is coming from this line, if this is the first one. What do you guys think? Have y'all seen this movie? Let me know.